I think I have the digibro problem of ideology. Now, what exactly do I mean by this? If you watch Digi's videos, like their whole catalog, like throughout the several years of her doing videos, of course, I'm referring to her past self, her old username, that whole arc, Trixie, different person now, but uh, the artist formerly known as Digibro had a tendency to be radically non-committal in the projects and life changes that they would take on and the places that they would go. It's like they they left little, how do I put this? It felt like they left like little breadcrumbs everywhere they go, but they went everywhere. Um, And the same could be said of the various projects that they picked up and then put down. You could see, you know, there was some residue that they left behind that you know where it came from, you know whose it was, but that's about all that was there. I think that was basically Digi's career, and it was really funny watching people like get up in arms about uh, whenever they wouldn't commit to a new project or a new idea because it's like, well, of course that was going to happen. Um, they always do this. Uh, and there was like a short amount of time where did you just shut up about whatever her plans were? And it allowed for like this brief window where she started having like some kind of long-term thinking in regards to the things that she was doing, at least like publicly, um, just through not talking about it, because I would assume that the psychological reward from having had talked about it wouldn't come to fruition. It just that early release, premature ejaculation, I guess, it just wouldn't happen. And so, Digi, uh, for a short amount of time, was able to accomplish like a couple things. But this, this definitely wasn't a silver bullet. Um, I think there was basically an executive functioning problem at the core of all of this. Um, but it was also an ideological problem because again and again and again, Digi kept saying, I'm going to engage in this radical transformation. It's going to be like so different this time. It's going to be this big thing. I'm going to do this big thing. I'm going to go to this place. And never did it last. But every time it was talked about like it would. It was talked about like this is going to be the thing. And I think this goes back to that um, old phrase, insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. Um, I think that's exactly what Digi did. Um, and this is, in essence, the Digibro problem of ideology. Their ideology was like, I can do anything if I just set my mind to it and make these choices. And it is true that there are a great many things one can accomplish if they make the right choices. But much in the same way that, when you're really young, you hear the phrase time and time again, practice makes perfect. And then when you get older, like in college, you hear perfect practice makes perfect. Um, the point there being that it wouldn't be about like sheer output doing the thing. It would be about doing the thing in a specific way to cultivate certain habits to, teach you how to be able to do that thing well. If I, look at my guitar right here, um, I can strum on it all day long, but if I am not, engaging with the chord progression, Understanding how the notes work and so on. I'm just not going to learn. And like, if it's not properly tuned, if I don't know how to tune it, I'm just not going to learn. So you have to practice in a specific way. You and they're like, the more granular you get with this, the more strategies there are for exactly how one ought to go about practicing in a more efficient manner. But the point here is that like, this is basically acknowledging cause and effect as a factor. Like, it is just objectively true that due to our environment, due to our genetics, or some amalgamation of the two, probably that, um, there are like certain predispositions we have towards this or that behavior, tendency, desire, and so on. And we have to recognize those things. And by recognizing them, being honest with ourselves, I think it's possible to um, take more control, exert more agency over the things uh, that aren't necessarily beholden to um, that, that those general like heuristics. I don't know. Essentially, um, I I feel like the reason why this insanity happened, just repeating the same thing again and again and it never working out, is because Digi kept trying to do things that maybe on some fundamental level they didn't want to do, and they couldn't acknowledge the exact reasons for why, or maybe identify them, and as a result, um, just kept falling into the same cycle again and again. Which, this isn't an inherently bad thing. Like, I'm not posing some kind of moral qualms with this, but I feel like it is extremely inefficient, and it's something to learn from, especially because I'm literally the same way. Um, I think if you go throughout my YouTube channel, there's a very similar tendency you'll see again and again and again. Um, and that's the digibro problem of ideology. I need to recognize what exactly it is that I want, and what it is that I am capable of doing, what I can do, and for the things that are the most difficult for me to do, I need to identify how much do I want to do those things, how much do I want to change those things, um, and how I can like metagame my own mind. Like, how do I set off like a Markov chain, or line up the dominoes in such a specific way as to create a chain reaction where this cause leads to this effect, and so on and so on and so on, until eventually I get the desired result that I want. That is not a process that is solely beholden to one's willpower. If anything, willpower has very little to do with what I just described. And so a lot of it, I think, is about understanding exactly what makes you tick, which is the literal opposite of the digibro problem of ideology.